I may have mentioned this in a previous video, but last spring I wrecked my car. Luckily, no one was hurt. I didn't get too much, I guess, injured in a way. I got a little whiplash, but it wasn't too bad. It was in the middle of the night, so there was nobody else really on the road. And it was warm that day, and then that night there was a deep freeze, and I hit a patch of black ice. It caught me off guard. I wasn't prepared for it, and I ended up overcorrecting, and it just spun me out of control, and I probably did a 720 across 4 lanes of highway. I didn't go in a ditch or anything like that, but I did slam up against the guardrail, which was basically one of those concrete, you know, block type of rails. And it kind of has a part at the bottom where it kind of angles down a little bit. And the only part that hit the car was where it angles down at the bottom. It hit the rear driver's side wheel. Of course, it smashed in everything underneath. So that happened last spring, and it took me a couple months to kind of get that all taken care of. But I recorded a lot of the things that I did even before I had this YouTube channel, in thinking that maybe someday I would put it up online. So without further ado, here is that footage from last spring. Last night, I was in a little bit of an accident in the Miata. This is the first I'm seeing it in the daytime. So, we had a deep freeze overnight, and I was driving home and hit a large patch of ice and just started doing 360s across 4 lanes of highway. Slammed my driver's side rear wheel into the concrete wall, and as you can see, it is, see how close the wheel is to the body here and how big of a gap there is there. I hit that wall hard, so there is something definitely bent behind that wheel. I'm gonna take it off and see if I can take a look to see if I can visually see anything that's damaged. If not, I'm gonna have to take this into a collision guy. But I am amazed that there is no signs of body damage. I hit this wall, this retainer wall, really hard. I got whiplash and everything. It was pretty scary. But it must have just hit this wheel. Maybe the angle of the wall where it only hit the bottom side of it or something, but yeah, I hit it really hard, and there is no signs of damage to this body. It's amazing. Can't believe it. Well, let's see what's behind this wheel. Okay, the wheel is off, and I've been looking for any obvious signs of damage to see if there's a, you know, the axle, is it bent, is the lower control arm, upper control arm, something is bent where this whole assembly is pushed this way towards the front of the car, and I'm not seeing any obvious signs of where it's bent. I'm just not seeing anything. It's got to be bent somewhere, twisted, or, you know, maybe this is twisted, but there's no play in this. When I go side to side or up and down, everything feels really solid. I see how it's really tight. This upper control arm, you see how it's really tight right here, and look at this gap right here. So maybe this is what the main problem is this upper control arm. Yeah, see, look at this, and look at that. So I called around. I talked to a couple mechanics, and I know a couple guys too that are mechanics, and they had a great idea actually. They said to try bringing it in for an alignment first. The alignment may fix the problem. The problem's actually on the other side. This is the rear wheel that I hit. As you can see, it's, maybe you can't see, but it is bent in a little bit. So the alignment's either going to fix the problem or tell me if there is a bigger problem, if there's something bent back there. I already took the wheel off. The upper control arm was where I saw the damage. It's really only where the bushings are. It just looked like it was slid over to one side, and where the bushing was almost pushed out. So if that can get just moved back in place with this alignment, then that may fix the problem. So I brought my car in to a shop here that does alignments, and we will see if this does the job. Just for reference, look at this tire here. You see how it's perfectly vertical. Let's go over here to the one that got hit. Look at that one. So the camber's all off on that. Miata's set for a few days. Just ordered a part. I got it in the mail. I'm going to try to swap it out today. This is the upper control arm right here, and this is the part I'm going to try to replace. You can see the bushing is sticking out over here, it's pressed in over here, same with these 2 points over here. So I'm hoping it's just this that is messed up and not the lower control arm or the spindle here or anything else behind here. So wish me luck. I'm going to try to swap this out now. So upon closer inspection here, hope this isn't what I think it is. You see how narrow the gap is here? And look at this gap right here. If this piece right here is bent, I'm going to be very upset, because that drastically changes the amount of work that I need to do here. Here's the old one and the new one. Let's go ahead and swap it out and see if that makes any difference at all. See if you see my dilemma here. Here's the knuckle or spindle or whatever you want to call it. Here's my control arm. I've got to get this moved over this way. Gotta figure that out. You could really use a second hand here to help you out. Need to get some leverage on this. Take a different approach with this. So I got this bolt in, but now I can't get these two in. I got them started, but I can't get them out the other end. It's just all twisted back in there. I'm still working on it. So basically, for this bolt here, the bolt is pushing out too far this way. It needs to come back towards me on this side. It's the opposite for this bolt here. It's actually closer to me, where I need to make it go that way. So basically this whole thing needs to twist like this to get those bolts aligned. And I can't do that if I have this connected. Gotta figure this one out. I was finally able to get that upper control arm on. I just had to muscle it on, and even after that, the geometry was all off. I mean, it just wasn't right still. It's still, the wheel was still, you know, crooked. The toe was too far in, and the camber was off. So it's got a new upper control arm, and the problem was still there. So now what?